does this other person, or this job help you be the youest you?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Curiosity Class. Today is an extra special day. I am joined by the one and only Ross Guttler, the founder of House of Blue Lotus, a serial spiritual leader. And thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you.
I thought we were going to go a serial spiritualist.
Spiritualist. My bad.
No, I'm fucking around. The one and only, such an interesting thing, Jeff. I am the actual only person in the world with my name.
That, like, for a fact?
I've looked it up. Yeah, there's a guy in Germany that has one letter different in his last name.
Wait, that's crazy. How are you looking at all of the records? How do you know that?
Because our last name, Guttler, Guttler, was made when they went through Ellis Island in the 1880s or 90s. And it was like Gudelmacher or Gudelmeyer before, and they changed it. So it's a made up name, you know.
Got it.
And
got it. Okay.
It's just in my family. You know.
Have you traced the lineage? Like, you know where it comes from?
We were my family. I think a lot of us were from around Kiev, and a lot of us were from around Warsaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Although Gudelmacher or
Okay.
Gudelmeyer sounds German, but you know.
But I feel like the borders were changing and it was all similar.
So, thank you.
Okay.
One and only. I appreciate it.
So, Ross,
serial spiritualist.
What are we drinking here?
What
do we got?
Well, Jeff, thank you for asking. What I'm holding here, especially for those who are on audio and you can't see, it probably looks like a thing of mushrooms, but it's not. This is true Egyptian Blue Lotus that I got from my friend Ilip. Metamorphlotus.com is his company. And Ilip works with a friend of mine, Valina, who you met earlier today. And Valina works with a team of women on the Nile, and they cultivate true Egyptian Blue Lotus. She also works with a team of women in Ometepe in Nicaragua. They do the same thing. And the reason that's important for me is because I'm building a spiritual center called House of Blue Lotus. So, like, you know, we're going to have Blue Lotus tea together. I'm taking, for those on audio, I'm taking a gorgeous, I'm going to hold up this flower so people can see it. Like, look at that.
That's beautiful.
That's the tea. I'm having that in this tea set. Here, I'm going to put, for one, since it's just me, I'm just going to do one leaf. Also,
Okay.
these are ridiculously expensive leaves. And we're going to put in a little water so that you and I can have some tea together.
Amazing.
Because you went and you got some Blue Lotus just for this call, which I appreciate.
I did. I was happy to. It was a fun journey to the tea store. The curator of the tea shop was like, I just got some in. Come in. Let's talk about it. Okay. So if you're a newbie like I am, I have no idea what Blue Lotus is or what the background is. So, like, what is it? Why is this the important place for you?
Okay, I want to set the stage that I am not an expert in Blue Lotus, and
okay.
You'd think if I were listening to myself say this, I'd be like, how the fuck does that guy not know more about this? But whatever, it's okay. I know what I know, which is little, and it is the general perception around it is it's for third eye and throat chakra, vision and clarity. People do use it for lucid dreaming, and some people take it to like relax. And it is technically a psychoactive, not a psychedelic. Don't ask me to define the difference, but I think a psychoactive is like it can have psychedelic properties, probably at certain levels. Again, I'm not a psychedelic researcher. I'm sure Wikipedia can tell you the difference better than me. Um, I don't take huge doses of it, actually. I take extremely small doses of it. And for me, it's more about the energy. I'm trying to pull in that energy of vision and clarity to give me, to like allow me to connect with like, oh, what do I need vision and clarity for in this moment? Or not
Hmm.
always both, and maybe one or the other. And then I can come back to, okay, those drops, that blue lotus is in my body. I can come back and channel this energy when I need to.
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
my relationship to it. And I'm really excited. You know, I think an interesting thing, Jeff, because you and I, we study Torah together every Friday. That's how we know each other. And we've been doing it together for years. And that is a specific path, the path of Judaism. And there's even different flavors of that, so many flavors inside the path of Judaism. Um, and so the reason I'm bringing it up is I have generally not felt called in my life to pick one particular spiritual modality and go very deep. And even the concept of that came to me. I was launching a company in Tokyo in 2018 that was around meditation and collaboration and creativity and problem solving for executive teams. And we would bring in these like executive teams from Fortune 500 companies and guide them through this we would navigate this problem solving journey with them. And meditation was infused in it. And when I was out there, I met this guy, David Nichtern. And David is an OG meditation teacher that studied under CTR. And CTR is who brought Tibetan Buddhism to the West back in the 50s. And David, upon getting to know me, was like, Ross, I want you to come be my guest at the Ram Dass retreat in Maui in May. This is May of 2018. No, May 2019. And and he said, I think this is going to be his last one. I have a feeling. And David was right. Ram Dass passed away later that year. So David was prophetic in that way.
And
And
who's Ram Dass? I've heard that name. I couldn't tell you who he is.
Ram Dass was he was known for many things, but when he was in his 20s, he was a professor at Harvard with this guy named Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary was known for popularizing LSD in the 60s.
Okay, got it.
And they were psychedelic researchers. And Ram Dass ends up going to India and studying under this guru, the Maharaji, and took on a whole spiritual life and became a very revered and powerful spiritual figure himself.
Got it.
And he wrote a book called Be Here Now. That was like his most
Oh, okay.
famous book.
Okay.
And I think he's known for this saying of we're all just walking each other home. That's like that statement. That's
Okay.
what life's about, just walking each other home. And so I'm in Maui, I'm at this retreat, and David and I are having lunch. And he said, Ross, I think you really need to pick a path and go deep on a path. And I said, David, I appreciate that advice. I don't feel called to any particular path in this moment.
And what was your relationship with David at this point? Because you said you had met him in Tokyo. So like while you were working in Tokyo, you were colleagues. You were like, what was the relationship?
Because I was running this company and
Hmm.
he was a meditation teacher and he was like a very well-known meditation teacher, people were like, you two need to be friends.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So people like matched us together,
Okay.
you know, and we liked each other. So, like we were friends.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you said I'm not so interested in just one.
I said, I actually love exploring a lot of different practices and modalities and traditions and going more than an inch deep, but not 10 years deep, you know?
Sure.
And I said, maybe one day that'll change for me. Maybe one day it'll hit me and I'll be like, oh, I know what I want to go deep on. And the reason I brought all that up is because I'm feeling Blue Lotus is that thing for me, which is like,
Ooh.
I've realized how much excitement I have of, I want to go with Valina to Egypt to actually put my hands in the mud and work with the women cultivating Blue Lotus there. I want to do a Blue Lotus dieta where I'm having Blue Lotus tea every day for a month and I'm like communing with the tea and I'm spending time sitting with the tea and it's truly a spiritual practice. I want to do a Blue Lotus only fast where instead of doing a water fast, I only drink Blue Lotus tea for like 3 or 5 days. Like I'm looking to expand my relationship, truly thinking of it as a relationship with this tea, with this flower.
And do you remember what the first time, when did it start, I guess? Like, when did the fascination start? Or can you not really put it into words?
I think I was just laughing at the seeming like absurdity of having this conversation with you. We're talking about my relationship to this tea and to this flower. Okay. Back to your question. Your question was, when did it start?
Yeah, when did it start?
When did your addiction start, my friend? When did it start? Okay. The story of this, we could take up the whole time me telling you the path to Blue Lotus, but I don't want to. What I will say, because I'm going to share the story, Jeff, to show. It's funny, your prior guest, Adi and I have talked about this quite a bit of understanding when we're in the flow of life.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that flow feel like and what happens? And what happens is you get fuckloads of synchronicities. I saw somebody post about it the other day on Instagram. It's like 4 signs you're in the flow of life. And it was babies stare at you, animals come up to you, and like cats and dogs are very friendly to you.
Yeah.
You notice a wild amount of synchronicities. And I forget what the 4th one was. But whatever it was, I read them and I'm like, oh man, those things are nonstop for me, like happening in spades,
Yeah.
And part of that was this Blue Lotus. So it's like John and I meet, my business partner. We met at the burn, last burn. We're out looking at art with our good friend Emily Fletcher. And Emily is an amazing, powerful meditation teacher and energetic witch herself. And so John and I are like, we need to come up with a name. What is the name for the center going to be? And John's business is John does high fidelity sound journeys, often with medicine. And so, and I'm sure some of your audience will get what that is and some of them won't. And so I said, John, the way we should come up with the name for what we're creating is let's go on a journey together.
Okay.
Let's go to Emily's house in upstate New York and let's have Emily facilitate a journey for us.
Okay.
It's like, okay. So we go up there. By the way, I think it's time for us to have some tea.
Oh yeah, we have to take our first sip. So this is my first time ever having Blue Lotus tea.
Okay, I got my little dainty thing here. Oh, I'm not pouring that so well, but
L'chaim.
Yeah, first I would say let's sit with this tea for a second. Just thinking about, is there anything that you would welcome more vision or more clarity on? And if it is, then you can imagine that now and you can hold that intention as we share this Blue Lotus tea together. And mine is just to have some fun with you. There you go. There's my intention.
I love it. L'chaim.
L'chaim, brother. So we go up to Emily's and I had just been in Bali a few months before and I'm out in a rice field in the Middle East rice paddies with 2 friends and they're talking about Blue Lotus. And they were talking about this team of women on the Nile working with Blue Lotus. This is months ago. It's February, end of January. And I'm not really paying attention because Blue Lotus had no real meaning to me at the time. And fast forward, oh, one of the guys I'm out there with sells, he's an alchemist, and he creates these tinctures, these drops. Then most of all of them but one have psilocybin, some type of psilocybin. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, I don't want any with psilocybin. Do you have anything that doesn't have psilocybin? And he said, yes, I have these drops that are for ritual. And they are Blue Lotus, rose, gold, and vanilla. And I said, okay, I'd like those. And so I get them. Little dropper. I bring them back. You take them for ritual. I bring them back. Fast forward, we're going up to Emily Fletcher's, John and I, to birth the name in ceremony. And I said, John, we're going to take these drops before. Now, the relationship to those drops is they were from this guy, Victor Yakari. Victor, I'm with Victor in Bali. Victor happened to go on a trip to Antarctica with my business partner, John, in November, and they were roommates.
Okay.
So the guy who gave me these drops happened to randomly fucking be my business partner's roommate on a trip to Antarctica.
And how do you know John? What's the connection with you and John?
And the interesting thing is that I hadn't even thought about till now. I know John through Emily Fletcher. She brought him to our little like adventure at the burn. And Emily and I are friends because Emily and I went to Antarctica together 5 years ago. So it's like there's the magic of Antarctica bringing us all together and the Blue Lotus together. It's sort of wild. And this is a sprawling conversation here. And okay, so John and I take these drops before our ceremony to birth the name. These drops that came from Victor, who was his roommate in Antarctica, like the connectivity of it all. No name comes to either of us during this journey. And a week later, we're like, oh, we took these Blue Lotus drops, though. Blue Lotus. Is that the name? Something to Blue Lotus? And John's like, well, my favorite color is blue. And I'm like, my favorite color is blue, dude. And I thought about it and I'm like, ooh, House of Blue Lotus. That feels good. Is it the House of Blue Lotus? Is it House of the Blue Lotus? Is it just House of Blue Lotus? And we landed on House of Blue Lotus. And here we are drinking Blue Lotus tea together.
Wow. Dude, okay. And like you have
to talk about synchronicities. Then John and I are both at Envision in Costa Rica, this festival in Costa Rica. We both separately got invited to lead a workshop and speak at Envision. So I'm down there leading a workshop on intention. And I go to say hi to my friend Vailana, who was 7 or 8 months pregnant at the time. She lives in Austin. You're in Austin, Aubrey Marcus's wife, Vailana. So I'm there. Vi's pregnant. I'm like, I haven't seen her since she's been pregnant. I got to go say hi. I go say hi. I'm talking to her and this guy, Franco, my good buddy, Franco Hecky. And I'm telling him about Blue Lotus. And Franco's like, dude, do you know there's a Blue Lotus expert standing outside? And I'm like, no, who? And he tells me who. I'm like, I know who that guy is. That guy's right outside. And it was this guy, Ilip, who I got this set from and who I got this Blue Lotus thing from. He was standing right outside. He gives me all this Blue Lotus stuff. And he's like, I'm going to come to New York and help you share Blue Lotus all across New York City. Then so point is, these synchronicities are happening all the time. And that's how you know you're in flow.
Wow. And dude,
and I'm giving you a fraction of these details. And all of these details have such ridiculous amounts of synchronicity.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about synchronicity.
Okay.
I love that word. That's a really beautiful word.
I got to be better at the pouring of this coffee, but
it's okay. It looks hot. What does synchronicity look like, or what does synchronicity mean to you? Like, is it like things are coming up and there's just like coincidences that you can't really put into words, or like what is it to you?
The first thing that comes to me is the things that I seem to need and want. And I'm really careful around the way I'm using the word want. Just come to me very easily and naturally. And I don't really even need to do anything. I mean, I guess the doing is I'm just being myself, which is also related to it. It's like, the more these synchronicities keep happening, well, one, it's the more they happen. Okay, I'll back up for a second. I had a career coach, Maggie Mistal. Mistal, I may be saying her last name wrong. Mistal. Maggie's amazing. We're still friends. In 2012, Maggie and I got in an argument. I was arguing with my career coach I was paying good money to, and she said, "You have to believe it to see it." And I said, "No, that's not who I am. I need to see it to believe it. I'm not somebody that blazes the trail. I like to walk a path that I've seen other people walk in life.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel more confident. You know, I'm not the guy to make his own trail in life."
Really?
That's what I said. I argued with her. And
Okay.
here I am telling you all these years later, I have done a whole fucking 180. Full
Yeah.
180. Whole 180. And so the reason of me bringing that up is synchronicity. The more I believe, Jeff, the I keep seeing these synchronicities, and then it strengthens my belief. And then the more my belief strengthens, the more the more synchronicities keep happening, and the more I
mm-hmm.
keep seeing, and then the belief strengthens even more, and then I keep seeing more, and it's a beautiful self-reinforcing circuit of belief, seeing and belief things happening, and me seeing them. There's also
Mm-hmm.
the concept to me of like, hey, these synchronicities could be happening, but I might not see them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may say, "Oh, well, these things aren't happening for me." And I'm like, well, actually, they may be happening for you. You just might not see them all.
Mm.
Oh, or maybe less of them are happening for you because you're not living as authentically as you possibly can be. And so that's what I would probably pair this with is I think your question was like, what does the synchronicities feel like? How do you know when they're happening? However you phrased it, they are so parallel for me of the more authentically I am myself.
That's awesome, dude.
Like just the pure fucking me I am. Like, and it makes me think about like really the only relationship advice I ever give, and I'm not married. So, I mean, I guess that doesn't mean I can't give relationship advice, but like whether it's about a relationship or a job, I say the same thing to people. Does this other person, or this job help you be the youest you?
Mm.
And what is that another way of saying? Does it help you be more authentically you?
Mm-hmm.
But I just like that idea of like, are you a youer version of
Mm-hmm.
you? Are the
Mm-hmm.
youest you can be?
Right.
Does this
Right.
person or this job bring that out of Jeff? Or is it neutral? I mean, it might be neutral. Or is it negative?
Right.
And for me, I could look back on my prior romantic relationships that didn't end in marriage, and I'm like, no, they did not bring more Ross out of Ross. I actually was less of myself.
Right.
I was less
Right.
authentically me in probably some of them. I'm like, okay, cool. That's the wrong relationship for me. Easy.
Right.
Now,
Right.
and then you can think about a job. I'm like, does this job bring the me out of me? What I am doing, literally, I know it's cliche to sound, it isn't a job. I'm just being me.
Right.
Running a spiritual center is not a job. I'm just doing me. I show up every day and I exist as me, you
Dude,
know?
you told me actually that you told me that same line, I think was it a year and a
Oh,
half ago or
shoot.
so. I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's so cool. And like I think it's it's all can you talk a little bit more about like your previous like I feel like you've lived so many lives, but if you hear the way you talk now, I would think like, oh, okay, like you're, this hippie guy, you've like been doing this all your life and like whatever. But you've had such a 180 and like I want
Mm,
to know about the transition and like the like how did you start thinking about this? Because you had this other career, this other life
yeah.
where you left. And like
Yeah.
that's really hard. It's really hard for someone to leave. And you weren't just leaving because you're like, oh, I don't like it. You were amazing at it.
I have left several lives, although in a way I still feel like the same person. But yeah, I I was going to be an investment banker. I did all my internships in college around investment banking, and I was in my first interview, and the guy was like, "Well, you know what our life is like," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know," because I had friends that did it, and it was like 110 hours a week, and you sleep under your desk twice a week, and you have no life. But like by the time you're 27 or 28, you're making $1 million a year. This was early 2000s, and I'm like, what do I remember asking I get out of the interview, and I was like, what do I even want this money for?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I want this money because I want to have a family and I want to give the family what I had growing up, which I mean, my dad didn't make $1 million a year either, but like we had what we needed. We had
Sure.
enough. We always
Sure.
had enough, my family. And, and I'm like, well, I just want my family to have enough, you know? This is I'm 21 years old, like interviewing for that. And I'm like, that isn't that what I want the money? I don't want to be, I don't have some like desire to be rich. Um, and, and I'm like, am I about to throw away my 20s for money? Sacrifice. That was what I thought. I just sacrifice my 20s for money. And I'm like, yeah, that's what this feels like. And I'm like, what do I want to do? I just want to ski every day. I want to live in the mountains and ski. And so I took myself out of the running for every banking job I was interviewing for. I told that job, I was like, I don't want that job. I didn't even go to the rest of my interviews. I took myself out of them. And I moved to Aspen and I got a job waiting tables and bartending, and
What did what
skied.
did your what did your family and friends say when you told them?
My dad was like, I just spent fucking 200 grand on your Duke education for this. And my mom was like, let him have a season out there doing his thing. I'm sure it'll be, yeah, I think her thinking was like, when is this going to be over? And I'm like, it'll be over when I feel it's over, mom. Um, I mean, like, I love my parents. They were my mom was totally supportive. You know how parents are. I grew up in a small town. Everybody knows each other. My parents just want to know what can they tell their friends when they're at dinner. Like
Right, right,
what are they
right,
telling their friends their oldest son is doing?
right.
Like has he flopped out of life? You know, um, I can't wait for my mom to listen to this and she's gonna be like, "That's not how we felt. We just want you to be happy." Which is true. They do. They do. They're the best. I have great parents. I'm very lucky. And so that's so I'm out there. I'm in Colorado. I'm doing that, and I ended up out there for 3 years. And then I was like, okay, I'm restless and I'm bored. I had gotten injured. I tore my MCL my last year of being there, and I'm like, I'm ready for something more. And I moved to Phoenix, and I started a company flipping houses with one of my buddies, Joe Diaz, one of my best friends from college. We do that for a year. We're shitty business partners. We were best friends, roommates, and business partners, and had the same skill set.
Mm,
Horrible combo for a business partner. I know
mm-hmm,
you've had a business partner in real estate also, and you
mm-hmm.
probably know like we checked every box of what not to have in your business partnership. We're like, let's just fucking break all the rules, and and of course it did not work. It did not work. Um, we're lucky we're still friends, and so then I was in real estate for 10 years in Phoenix and I was making a lot of money and I was playing golf every Wednesday, every Friday, every Saturday and Sunday. I was playing golf 3, 4 days a week, living it up, going out all the time, having a blast. But I'm like, this is not intellectually gratifying or um, uh, satisfying. There was no like depth and challenge to it, you know? And I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this. And so I end up pulling the plug on that. Also, it's similarly, Jeff, there was like a money trap of like, hey, if I
Mm-hmm.
stay in this job, I think I was 30, 31 at the time. I was like, I'm going to be making $1 million a year by the time I'm 36 or 37. And then I'm going to be trapped
Yeah,
by money. How am I going to pull out of that?
yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
literally once you create that life and I saw the traps of the life of money. Um, Phoenix is a very boomer bust real estate town. And I remember the boom and then I remember the bust. And the bust in my office, there were all these guys that were in their like late 30s and early 40s that were making you know, high 6-figure, low 7-figure salary in Phoenix 20 years ago, 15 years ago, which was a lot of money. And, and I remember the crash hit and half of them got divorced. And, they had to give up their cars and they had to sell their house and their kids would have to get pulled out of private school. And literally half of them got divorced. And I remember seeing this like crumbling of lives around me because the money was, they were trapped in this money game and then the money was gone. And I was just observing this and I'm like, whew, I don't want to be in that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I grew up with a family where like my parents were big savers, my dad was famous for saying to my brother and I like, well, you've never seen their bank account. Meaning like you don't know who's living check to check and you don't know who
Yeah.
saved up a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he was in the camp of save up a lot of money.
Yeah.
You never know because you never know. You never know what you will need any money for. You
Right.
never know. And so that was his very old school Jewish, frankly, mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've come from a people who have been on the run for a long time, and it's like you got to save where you can. So
Sure.
um, that I was like, I don't want to get caught in this trap. So I extricate myself out of that. I go back to business school. I get involved in this wellness real estate company, Delos, while I'm in business school. It was unbelievable. Like I was like, oh my God, this is fucking so cool. These people, this founder, Paul Shalla, had come up with this idea of like, we spend 90% of our time indoors. Why are we as a real estate industry only focused on how the built environment impacts environmental health? Why is no one focused on its impact on human health? This is 15 years ago. No one was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to make a business on this, looking at light quality, light, air, sound, nutrition, all these psychological, physical, emotional aspects of an indoor space, dialing them up and dialing them down so that the space is optimal for human health. And so I'm in that business. I'm in it for I started in it. Good story here of like, I went to them. My friend was an investor in the company, and I went to one of the founders, and I was like, "I'm going to business school in a few months. I want to come work for you. Don't pay me a penny." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "What you guys are doing is so fucking cool. I just want to help, and I don't need to be paid." And so I went and I helped for 2 months every day, for free as like a free little intern. At 33 years old, I was like a little free intern, and
Dude, that's awesome.
And so I ended up working with the company for 5 years, and it's amazing. And the certification that we wrote, the well building standard that I was one of the authors of, is now in like 140 or 150 countries. It's fucking dope shit.
That's insane. And this was just like, what do you remember? Like, what initially attracted you to that in the first place? You're like, oh, this is just like, I've never thought about this before. This is cool. I want to be involved.
Yeah, I was literally like, this is the future. This is fucking it. Like
Yeah.
this idea that like, whoa, like my dad was a doctor growing up. Um, this idea that the building, that our home and our office could be our doctor. That's how I saw it.
Hmm.
Oh, what if the space that we exist in becomes our doctor? Right now,
Hmm.
our spaces are actively poisoning us.
Mm-hmm.
I could walk in your house right now and I could find 5 things in your house that are right now poisoning you. I'm not
Like
even
what?
saying my house is perfect. We could go in mine too. But I
What?
could look at different materials that are off-gassing things and polluting the air. I could look at maybe you have scented candles in your bathroom that are very, very likely, unless you're sourcing them from a certain place, poisoning your air quality. We could look at different cleaning supplies. We could look at the hand soap you're using. We could look at the different lotions you're putting on your face. We could look at the light. My guess is the light in your house is the same wavelength in the morning and at night. But
Mm-hmm.
as you can guess, your body doesn't want the same light in the morning and at night. Your body
Hmm.
wants a light in the morning that helps you release cortisol, suppress melatonin. Well, you want
Mm-hmm.
the opposite at 7, 8 p.m. at night.
Sure.
But my guess is your lights in your house are always the same.
Yep.
Think of like it's 3 in the morning and you get up to pee and you go in the bathroom. What happens if you turn the lights on? You're shocked, right?
Yeah. Bad news.
Total shock. Right. why do people have those little bathroom nightlights? It's so you don't shock your system.
Yeah.
Think about it. You're
That makes
shocking your
sense.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like
Yeah.
now
Okay.
we built a whole company around those type of things.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I was with that company for 5 years. We grew it. Now the certification's in 140 or 150 countries. It's awesome. And that got me on the spiritual path because Deepak Chopra was on our board. And one day Deepak came in to lead a meditation in a little room of 12 people. And I sat right next to him. And it was my first time ever meditating. Was in this little 12-person room sitting next to Deepak. And I was like, oh man, this is cool. I like this meditation stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And so I
It's like
started.
someone's first basketball lesson with LeBron James. Like, yeah, basketball's
Yeah,
it's okay. It's
it is
okay.
what it was. Yeah. Yeah. And so I started doing it 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. I started reading books and like I started going down this spiritual path. And I started going to the Open Center, which was at the time the largest and longest running urban spiritual center in Europe and North America.
And you had moved to New York at this point.
I've been in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the Open Center, um, eventually through real estate, actually through the Urban Land Institute. This is why this is a good example of you got to show up in life and you got to like be of service. So it's like I'm on a committee for ULI around healthy spaces, volunteering my time on this committee. And I meet this guy, Michael Horst, and Mike was on the board of the Open Center. And Mike says to me, I want you to join our board. And I remember I was like, me? I was like, I'm not important enough to be on your board. I literally said, I am not important enough to be on your board. And he was like, no, you're exactly who we need on the board. And I was like, I don't think so. And eventually I say yes, and I join the board. And then 6 months into me being on the board, we realized we needed to fire the president and they were going to close down. And the founder, who was the main donor, Walter, who passed away. Walter, love you. And Walter says, well, guys, we're at a board meeting. He says, it's been a great 36 years. We're out of money. We need to move on from this president. I think we pat ourselves on the back, say mission accomplished, and close our doors. And I'm hearing this, and I'm like, keep in mind, this is a spiritual center doing 450 programs a year with a 50-person staff, hosting every major world teacher in the world. That's been the history of this center is every major teacher in the world, when they came through New York, they came to the Open Center. And so I said, this is me and three guys who are like 80 years old. I'm like, guys, this conversation is fucking insane. And I remember saying, is fucking insane. And I said, what we do has never been more accepted by the media, by society, and has never been more needed and more important than it is right now. We should only be talking about expanding our reach, not shutting our doors, expanding our impact. And they were like, well, what are we going to do? We're out of money and we just said we need to fire Leslie. And I was like, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and I'm going to take over. I'm going to run it. So I dropped everything I was doing and I ran the Open Center. I was the CEO for 4 years. And that's how things happen. That's how things happen. So it's interesting when you said, when you were like, the Deepak meditation story, the similar story for me is if somebody had said to you, yes, I was running this thing in Tokyo, but that wasn't for that long. It's basically like if someone said to you, Jeff, your dream is to work in soft drinks. If you said, I really want to work in the soft drink industry, and somebody's like, how about for your first job, you're the CEO of Pepsi?
Right.
How about that? I'd be like, okay, that's what it was. So, it's been a wild ride and, it doesn't feel like work.
So,
You
okay,
know?
during your time as CEO of the Open Center, so
yeah. I think what was the purpose? I mean, I get you're asking me these questions. I think the lesson for me there is like, I guess, to see, and in fact, me reflecting this to you is allowing me to see some of this of like walking away from money. and
Mm,
the in ensnarement, the trap of doing something that I don't feel that good about because of the money and then getting
hmm.
trapped in the money. And I guess if I were to reflect what have been the most powerful and impactful decisions of my life, that's what I would say it's been.
That's a pretty good one.
And I'm not an anti-capitalist person. I was a fucking econ major and I went to business school. I mean,
Well, so
like,
this
I'm
is what
not,
I was gonna say. Like I feel like you have this cool relationship with money where it's like you're not like, oh, I don't need money. Money's not important. I don't
right.
care. But you're also you understand that you have this relationship with money such that like, oh, I don't want to over index on like do something that I don't like for money. Right. So what I wanted to ask you was like
Yeah.
when you were running the open center, I feel like it's I don't know if it's common is the right word, but like you're in charge, you're the head of this global spiritual organization. And yet you're pretty new to spirituality, right? So like you're probably doing stuff that's, your day's probably pretty stressful is what I'm getting at. And like you need to show up as like this person who has some level of like, I don't know, serendipity, or maybe I'm getting that wrong, but like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at?
I think, let me see if I can name it in a different way. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like new to spirituality. I would say I was not a multi-decade practitioner, you know.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
um, but I think also there's you know how when you're like in your 20s and you're in meetings and you're generally the younger person in the meeting and you're afraid of not knowing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you just cross this mark in your life where you're like, oh, I can be confident in my lack of knowing something.
Sure. Sure.
And then all of a sudden you're comfortable in a meeting and you're comfortable being like, I don't know, and saying it out loud to like, and not feeling like, oh, people are going to think less of me. It's like, no, it's actually in a way like a, a confident thing of you're okay with your security around saying you don't know. And so I think it was like, I don't need to be the expert in any of these spiritual modalities. I just need to be me.
Mm,
Like the job didn't require, my job wasn't being the spiritual expert. My job is shepherding an organization and leading people, holding people. I've been holding people and leading people since I was a little fucking kid, you know? So in that way, I'd say I had 40 years of practice at it, you know? I mean, if you ask my mother, which I've asked her, why did my brother and I get along so well? My brother's 3 years younger than me and he's my best friend and he's been my best friend since he was born. And I'm going to go see him right after this interview. And my mom said, because you love to lead and your brother loved to follow. And she said, you two were a natural pair, you know? And so I would say I was training for that job running the open center since I was 3 years old.
gotcha. Gotcha. No,
So
that's
I wasn't really new to the job.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That
And,
makes sense.
but I'm saying, but combining that with like, I'm not trying to pretend I've read every fucking book and gone to every retreat and done all this and know all the Sanskrit words for this and that. I don't know it, and that's
Mhm.
okay. That's okay.
What this is gonna be kind of a big question, so, I don't mean it as a
Yeah.
well, whatever. What does spirituality mean to you? Like, when you think
Oh
of
yeah.
spirituality, what
Yeah.
is that?
I I love that you asked it because I used to have a interview show where I would ask people that very question on the street. I do street interviews. I say, what does spirituality mean to you? How does it show up in your life? Um, Spiritual practice to me is deepening our relationship to ourselves, to each other, and to the planet. So, again, the purpose of any spiritual practice to deepen your relationship to yourself, to each other, and to the planet. That's what life is all about.
And so
That's what the point of the practice is. So
not in a
I
rel
would,
Oh,
Got
go.
I I think I just defined spiritual practice maybe more than spirituality. That I have a tougher time putting a pin on that definition.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the most common answers people would give me when I asked them was like some version of oneness. And I would say that version of oneness is what I just, the connection, our connection to ourselves, each other, and the planet, and understanding it's all the same. And then you could go down a path of
Mm,
like non dualism, which we talk about in our Parsha group sometimes. Non dualism, that idea of there is no dual, there is no me and you, it's all one.
mm.
The entire universe and universes and everything that is all one big living, breathing organism.
Does God come into play there? Like, does that concept come into play, or not necessarily? Not in your framework.
Well, I'm not going to fashion myself an expert on non-dualism. I would say in
Not
the non,
necessarily
yeah,
non-dualism, just in your framework of spiritual practice.
for me, does God come into my framework? I just had a buddy over, my buddy Andy Lee, right before we got on this call, and Andy and I were talking a little bit about it, and I, I don't have a strong curiosity to understand the way everything works. I don't feel that called to like discern and decide for myself, does some version of God exist and what is that version? It's not, yeah, I'm just not attracted. I'm interested. I'm mildly curious. I'm not that curious. Um, it's because it's just like, I guess I just don't really feel the need to know, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so what do I mean? I believe that there is some power, some force, some universal force. Some people, is that what God is? Yes, I think that's the expression of God. To me, it's like if you want to get into the semantics of do we want to call it God or like a universal force, I guess I don't really care that much
Mm-hmm.
to decide which one of those it is. Or is it something else? Or is there no force at all? Now,
Mm.
that would be a different take. I don't believe that. I do believe there is some but that force may just be like nature, the intelligence of nature, the
Sure, sure.
intelligence of the universe, like literally like the way the fucking universe works. How does it work like it does? Okay, physics. Well, how do those physics work the way they do?
Right.
I don't even feel that qualified to go down this road of this guy.
What did you say at the beginning? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. I mean, I guess you can see this is where we've approached the limitation of my understanding around this, and that's because I don't go read books on it because I'm just not really that interested.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I
How
believe. I believe shit happens. I don't need to know how.
interesting. But
Here,
then
here's
the other.
I believe in that. I keep seeing more synchronicities, and then the more I see, the more keep happening. I believe that
Right,
I believe.
right. Well, because
How?
yeah, it's
Yeah. Now that's the question. Is okay. We could say on like a quantum level, if we go quantum mechanics level, like is my intention and my belief affecting the field of reality? And so then this would be, I'm not huge into manifestation. I think the term manifestation has been bastardized, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox about the dangers of modern day manifestation, but like that would technically, I guess, be a form of manifestation of like, I have a belief or an intention, and then the field senses that. And then so that my belief or my intention literally changes the field of existence, the quantum field. Um, so then there's the idea of like, do I need to understand the mechanics of how that works to believe in it? No. I mean, if I see the result, do I need to get how it works? Do I need to know how the sausage is made? I don't know. I'm
no,
tasting
you
the
don't.
sausage. It tastes good.
Right. You drive the car. You don't need to know how
Kosher.
to build it.
We're talking kosher sausage here,
Of
clearly.
course,
Yeah.
of course, of course. No, I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah.
So then at the same time though, then how do you so okay, if you believe it like, okay, shit happens. I don't need to know how or why. At the
Uh,
same time, synchronicity happens. I don't need to know how or why, but I just need to have the instinct to follow when I do notice. Is that it?
I think yes. So the work for me is how do I clear my antenna and clear my vision so that when they happen, I see them,
Mm,
which
okay.
is for me clearing away. The whole point of spiritual practice is what I mean. Like I said about, deepening our connection to ourselves, each other, and the planet. But it's like, what is it? And it's really just clearing away the bullshit.
Mhm.
You're clearing, you're cleansing, you're clearing like an onion, the layers of bullshit that have been conditioned upon you by your existence in this world since birth, prior to
Mhm.
birth, prior to birth. I just saw a study the other day. Babies within several days can differentiate between languages. And how? Because the languages have different vibrations and they were surrounded by one language while they were in the womb and they
Mm.
received those vibrations. And so that language feels different to them.
That's crazy.
Makes sense though.
Yeah, I
Think
guess
about it.
I've never
That
yeah.
you're speaking, your voice is sending out a vibration. That vibration works its way into the mother's womb and the baby receives that vibration. So that is a familiar cadence of a language and a familiar vibration.
Sure. Sure. Hmm. So what do you do with that?
Um,
Or just that since birth you've had stuff come up and you need like the work of spirituality or spiritual practice is to remove
yes,
the
it,
bullshit.
it's, it, I guess that was an example of we're being conditioned from our environment since pre-birth.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
many of those conditionings, that's what causes us stress and anxiety and depression and blah, 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 blah. There's nothing wrong inside any of us. It's society doing shit to us that then changes us.
So let me ask you like on this thought of
I
you
mean,
know,
people can be born with certain, I don't want to discount birth defects,
sure.
neurochemical issues. Those are real. I'm saying for the most part, most
Sure.
people's issues are caused by societal conditioning.
Sure.
Your environment
Yeah.
is society conditioning you. And so what's the point of spirituality, spiritual practice? Fucking peeling those layers away.
Hmm. But why is it like I guess this is the question I have for you though is like
Yeah.
on one hand, okay, you can walk through life and you're walking down the street and a car splashes water on you from the puddle on the ground. You're like, damn it, like that
Yeah.
sucks. Shit happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But someone else might look. But then the other hand is like, dude, you're having all these like this synchronicity and you're
Yeah.
seeing Blue Lotus everywhere and like all this stuff is happening. You're just vibing. But you could look at either of those and be like, oh, I got splashed on water. I'm doing something wrong. Like
Okay.
I need to change. So why one you follow and you're kind of you're it's like the positive association with one you're like, ooh, I need to change path, right? I'm doing something wrong. It's the opposite of synchronicity. Does that make sense?
You're saying if something happens like the water being splashed on you that is perceived as negative, that I
Mm-hmm.
don't that I don't seek some deeper meaning in it, but if it's positive, I do. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like you kind of know when you're in flow because, and I agree with you.
Oh,
I don't
because good things are
disagree
happening.
because good things are happening. But like you could look at a bad thing happening and be like, oh damn, like maybe I need to change something else in my life because I'm not in this flow state. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that does happen. I mean, I would say, right, if a lot of bad things are happening to me, then then I would be like, okay, I need to make some changes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it
Yeah,
does
yeah,
go
yeah.
both ways.
Yeah. I mean, look, I feel like if if my spiritual teacher were on this call here, I who I meet with every other week, his name's Neil Allen. I love Neil. Neil and I talk a lot about like in some spiritual paths, it's getting to the point where there is no such thing as good or bad. the water being splashed on me is neither good nor bad. Me running into Illip at Envision to talk Blue Lotus is neither good or bad. I'm not necessarily saying I follow this path because it's a hard thing for me. It's easier for me to be like, oh, the water is not bad. Yes, fine. It's harder for me to say the other thing is not good.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean it's not good? That was good.
Right.
How can I say that was neutral? It was good, So I didn't, and this may be, Jeff, like maybe I don't know enough of the answers to be like, oh, no. Here's what the sages would say. They would say, blah, blah, like, whatever. I'm just saying, I feel you on this recognition of maybe we hold the negative different or the perceived negative different than the perceived positive. I don't know.
Hey, shit happens. Who knows?
Shit happened. Yeah, that's the Forrest Gump thing. He made those T-shirts around it.
Right.
But also, like when negative things happen, well, I think so. Okay. So one is we could look at something and say there is no negative or positive to it. The water being splashed on you is neither negative or positive. The other is we could say, okay, it wasn't a pleasurable experience, but did I learn anything? Is there a lesson for me there? Yeah, the lesson for me there is, all right, well, I'll give you an example of that one. New York. I live in New York. Sometimes New Yorkers, we stand very close. We don't stand back on the sidewalk when we went across the street. We're like up on the street. And if it's raining sometimes, you could get splashed on. Cars driving by. Well, you don't need to learn that lesson that many times before you're like, hey, I need to keep my distance a little bit so I don't get splashed on. So, okay, so me getting splashed on in that first time teaches me some lesson. And so isn't that lesson good?
It's neither good nor bad.
Well, no, but I'm saying like, okay.
No, I know. Totally. Dude, you're awesome. This is the best. Where can people find more House of Blue Lotus?
Okay.
Material, work, stuff.
We're not even, I don't know when you're releasing this episode. We're not out in the public sphere yet, House of Blue Lotus. That being said, I have put out our website, but you can get on our email list, houseofbluelotus.org. I spent 2 hours vibe coding. Oh, by the way, you're the one that taught me how to build a website. I forgot. Thank you, Jeff. It's my website, my vibe coding website coach and mentor.
Dude, that is a very much overstatement. I sent you 3 links that were one sentence each, and you did the rest.
I used anti-gravity and I built our website in about 2 hours, and it is basically a landing page and describes a little bit about what we do. There's a reason for that, and that's because I'm not trying to say that much about it yet. We'll have our public launch in probably September, and it'll be a 300 person Blue Lotus tea ceremony. And that's all I'm saying. It's going to be way more, and it's going to be amazing. But you can get on our email list, houseofbluelotus.org. I would love for people to get on our email list. And you can follow my Instagram because I'll be talking more about it. And it's just at Ross Guttler, ROSSGUTTLER.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you. You're the best. This is awesome.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Looking forward to catching up soon.
See you, buddy.
Bye, everybody.